So kind of a hard shift from the company operations and just more towards you. Do you find that your sort of your style as an artist, as a pixel artist, has changed at all, or your process
Yes,
sort of
definitely.
since 2014? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I think like so Shovel Knight was my first game that I did totally by myself,
Hmm.
in terms of like the art for it. And so before that, I was like working as a supporting role, like hiring people or just doing like art management kind of thing.
Hmm.
Um, and Shovel Knight was the first time I was just like, let's just do the whole thing by myself. And since
Hell yeah.
like since then, I've definitely seen growth. And so I'll go back and look at Shovel Knight, the sprite, and there's like three or four things I would change right now if I could. Um, and
Totally.
they are the shovel blade, the spacing of the feet, the hilt on the crossguard, and his horn tips.
Really.
Like I see those things every single time, and I just like I want to change them. Um, and they're like really subtle changes, but like the rules of how I approach things now are more figured out.
Right.
Um,
That's kind of interesting because my next question was going to be the design of Shovel Knight as a character. Was that what percentage of that was sort of like sprite dependent versus conceptual with sketches? Like, did the design of Shovel Knight really come from? Yeah, which way did it come from?
so the design, it was definitely like a group thing. It started with it started with Sean. He was like, I want to make a character that's a knight character, and it just looks like Zelda's the what's that game? The Legend of Zelda, the DS one that had where Zelda had that like armor.
Phantom Hourglass.
The Phantom Hourglass, yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
And so she has like this the Phantom that comes out, and he had a little doll of it, and it's like a just basic knight, right? Um, is it Spirit Tracks that has that one? I can't remember.
One of
They
the
they
two.
kind of put together. Yeah, one of those two. That pink set of armor. Anyway, so that was like we'll just make a character that's like this, and then we were
That was
like,
the starting point. That's crazy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And so we knew it needed to be a knight with a T face and horns,
Mm.
and so we kind of like I think a sprite was made and a sketch was made by our concept artist at the time, and then I came in and was like, the sprite's okay. I want to change it, and so I like tweaked it to make the final thing that we use. Um, but that was also still like before we figured out the general style of Shovel Knight, and so like
Hmm.
um, the sprites. Like I made the next sprite that we made was King Knight, and he was like way too detailed, um, and he had like he still had the same amount of colors, but just like really high density of details.
Hmm.
Um, the armor's in both. Oh,
There you go. That's really interesting. I find like I hadn't done any pixel art really before I started thinking about this game, and as I've been
okay.
working, one of the things that I was thinking about we could talk about. No, that I don't really want to talk about it, but as a preface to why I'm going to say the next thing, it's interesting because I find that yeah, as I compare my own work and as it's growing, I notice that there is a real level of restraint and discipline that comes from using less, trying to follow an 8-bit art style. It's sort of like comes with the territory. But I really
Yeah.
admire, like, just in general, how, yeah, how much it adds to avoid noise in a
Yeah.
in a in a mock-up or a screenshot or any particular view
Definitely.
of the game.
That's something that I'm still like trying to figure out constantly. Is like your eye is drawn to bright colors, to like X's.
Hmm.
You learn that in art school. Like if you want something to stand out, like have lines point to an
Hmm.
intersection, like a
Sort of like
perpendicular
Gestalt
cross.
principle stuff.
Yeah, yeah. And bright colors and contrast and lots of and high detail versus low detail or high color contrast, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
And so it's a constant learning process and like refining the ideas to create characters that don't um, that have clear theming visually. You
Hmm.
know, um, I think one of the things that really works with Shovel Knight is that T.
Yeah.
His face is just, like, it's so striking because you have that T.
You know exactly where to look looking at that sprite.
Exactly. Like you know where you want to look at. You know where he's looking, and the fact that the shovel blade is white, and so like you at all times you know all of what he's about.
Mm.
The, the the contrast of the white is really really strong.
Hmm. You're on the record at Polygon.com saying how important. I did a little bit of research. Saying how important the sprite's silhouette is. Do you still feel that way? And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on record on
there was a thing where they quoted you.
That's hilarious. Yeah, silhouette is everything. I would say, if you can't see what your character is doing when they're completely black on a white field, then you're failing somewhat. Especially for gameplay, because it's really important in all forms of visual media, but I think especially for gameplay, you have to be able to express what the actions are in silhouette, because you're only seeing them for fractions of a second. I mean, the active frames that Shovel Knight's attack are, it's 5/60ths of a second. And that's just that's the frame where his shovel is fully extended, and so that really has to read. And 5/60ths of a second sounds like it's a little hard to grasp, but basically, it is 1/12 of like basically it's one frame of typical Disney animation. The standard stuff, not like the higher detail stuff. That's a little shorter. But yeah. So like, so like you have to be able to see it like really fast. One of the things that I look to as far as like inspiration for that kind of thing is like fighting games are really good at this.
Yes.
Because you'll have an action that comes out in 3 frames, 3/60ths of a second.
Yep.
And you have to be able to read where it is, where it was, because your brain is not able to keep up with that level of speed.
For sure.
Or where it's going to be and where it's not. And so silhouette is really effective at communicating that.
I do the same thing. I think any action game, especially in 2D, you have to look at fighting games for a reference to see sort of like...
I look at Third Strike like at least once a week, specifically Makoto.
I love Makoto. Holy shit.
Yeah, she's so good, right? If you go to a website, anybody who's here, there's 2 websites. There's one that's called Fighters Generation, and that has a huge archive of not just Third Strike, but like a ton of fighting game. Like you can find basically anybody, including 3D stuff, so it's not as useful. But there's like a ton of sprite stuff in there. And then the other one, I haven't been there in a long time. I forget what it's called, but I will find this and give it to you because.
Oh man, just thinking about.
It's basically it's like you just like choose the character and you can just see their animations all.
Right. So it's like an unpacking of all of the all the stuff.
What is this called? I'll find it later.
Okay. Yeah, I totally on the same page with you there. I look at those references like I can see in my head like poses from Third Strike. The Makoto's like the vertical punch.
And then it's so good.
You could just you can see she's so
Yeah. So Foxy just linked it.
Waifu.ca.
Or
is
that actually what it is? No, he spelled it wrong. Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull it up.
Vaifus. I don't know what that's.
I got it here. I think this is right.
Yeah.
Oh
this
shit!
Is great.
There it
it's
is.
Like, yeah, you can choose a character and then choose anybody. Like Makoto's on there. She's there. She is. And then just kind of you can see all of her moves. And so this is a really cool way to see all these characters' moves isolated in action. And so I use not as much this site, but this one a lot. Fighters Generation has them as separated GIFs, and so I just download those and put those in
nice
promotion, so I can see it.
Such strong keyframes. I'm still I'm still learning to sort of lean a little bit more into keyframe animation.
The danger of this is Third Strike is a AAA game, It's not. It's
Yeah.
not like an indie game, right? Like it's not like a double A. Like
I know.
it's a triple A game. Like they've spent millions of dollars on this game. So like when you think about like the amount of frames and stuff, it's like dauntingly high. Um,
I'm still learning to avoid the scope creep. I've made some bad
Yeah.
choices. I'm only starting to see that now.
That's hard because it's so easy to like make like one thing look good and like be like awesome. And it's like, oh, this is great. This is perfect. I love it. And then you're like, wow, everything else I've ever done on this project looks like shit now.
Yeah, yeah. Every time I do anything, it's like, oh, I look around me, and it's like, now everything has to be this good. It sucks. Arc and Pixel, Spider Posh Black. Oh, stop you guys. Yeah, I totally feel that, and it's hard. I mean, it's not even. Sometimes it's not even scope creep. Sometimes it's just you iterate on something, or you just do something good. You just like the most recent thing you do is the best thing you've done, and you just look back, and it's hard to accept these things in the same game. Sometimes it's like, oh god, like if only I just
Yeah. That's why having like I think that's what one of the advantages of having a team is that you can have people that like that kind of take a step back and see things when you're like because when you're doing the art you can like get really focused on like one thing at a time and when someone can kind of have like sort of a glancing view or like a more broad scope, it helps to like put things in perspective and like sometimes it's like oh everything is now shit and it's like no that's fine dude like it's great it's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Or they're like yeah maybe you should like check out some frames of that new animation. That's what we did a couple times. Like there's a couple animations that I did that were like no like take out
this is
half
unnecessary.
those
Yeah.
frames like it's too
Yeah.
much.
It's hard. That's one of the things that I think I really undervalued about being in a team when I made the choice to like do this myself. I didn't think, oh, I don't want to work with a team. I was like, I want to do all the things because I like to do all the things.
Yeah,
But
of course.
losing that perspective is such a it's a big cost. Well, it's over. Oh, thank you so much for watching this video. I had a lot of fun making it. I hope you had fun watching it. I wanted to say a huge thank you to the patrons for this month. Joe Constant, Smack in the Box, Jacob, Narg, Jim Kulwicki, to Raimu, Elvin King Loki, Chris Jennings, Richard, Faulty Functions, Sabarath, Alex, Robin Fritz, Oxcoxer, Infinite S Lives, and Jared Barboza. Thank you so much, guys. You really are the ones who brought this content to the channel, because without you, I wouldn't have been able to make it. So thanks again. If you'd like to join that list of patrons, scroll down and find the link below. You can also find links to my Twitch channel, to our Discord, to Twitter, to everything your heart could desire when it comes to Insignia and Adam C. Eunice. So, thank you so much. Catch you in the next one, and have a nice day.